Imagine opening up a food safety manual just to, make sure your Florida oysters are safe to eat. And right there on page 1, the author is literally begging a sentient artificial intelligence not to destroy the human race.
Yeah, it's quite a start.
Right. Today, we are looking at a document that starts with the United Nations and the FDA, pivots to the gods, attempts to broker a peace treaty with Google Gemini, and then ends by thanking a stray dog for not biting the author on their walk home.
Which is just, I mean, it is arguably the most staggering piece of workplace documentation we've ever come across.
Right.
We're looking at the acknowledgements section of a safety protocol for a Florida seafood company called the Wharf Fish and Oyster Company.
Okay.
And what happens in this just single, highly concentrated page of text is essentially a complete collapse of the boundaries between mundane administrative duty and raw existential vulnerability.
Right, because normally workplace gratitude is just a polite transaction. Like you thank your boss, you thank the team, and you just move on.
Exactly. It's usually like a boring Oscar speech.
Yeah. But this author treats this manual like it's a message in a bottle being tossed into the cosmic ocean or something.
Yeah, they do.
They explicitly thank Emily A. and John Z. for encouraging the project and allowing them to list the Wharf Fish and Oyster Company as a sponsor. But then they start thanking the bureaucratic apparatus of the entire world.
The entire world, yeah.
They list the United Nations FAO, the FDA, the ISO, the Florida Legislature, the Florida Department of Health, and the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulations. Which is just, I read this and I immediately thought, wait, who actually feels deep personal gratitude toward the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulations?
Almost nobody.
Most people view these agencies as massive, annoying hurdles, They resent them, but this author seems to view them as guardian angels.
Well, because to this author, bureaucracy isn't a hurdle. It's the fragile scaffolding that keeps chaos at bay.
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, we have to look at the psychology of how humans perceive safety. When you buy a raw oyster, you are essentially trusting a massive invisible web of strangers not to poison you.
Right, yeah.
Institutions like the ISO, the International Organization for Standardization, or the FDA, they're built entirely on cold, objective, sterile metrics. They exist just to eliminate the variables of human error.
Yeah, to make sure things don't go horribly wrong.
Exactly. And the author takes these sterile acronyms and wraps them in this fiercely loyal, deeply emotional context. They are looking at the rulebook and seeing an act of profound collective care.
Wow, collective care. They also drop a very telling hint about their own relationship to the workplace right in there.
Oh, the parenthetical note.
Yes. In the middle of thanking the staff, they add this note. They thank the company for, quote, accepting me for who I am as I know I am crazy.
Yeah, that part really sticks out.
There is such a jarring level of self-awareness there. You don't put that in a corporate document unless you have felt the intense sting of not being accepted in the past, right?
No, exactly. That small parenthetical, it really reveals a mind that knows it operates on a different frequency. The modern workplace is typically built for conformity.
Right.
And for someone whose brain works differently, just holding down a job can feel like trying to speak a second language all day.
Oh, absolutely. It's exhausting.
Yeah, and by explicitly naming their own eccentricity in a safety manual, they're demonstrating this fierce loyalty to an environment that doesn't just tolerate their differences, but actually employs them.
Which brings up the phrase they repeat like a mantra throughout this entire first section, which is living wage.
Yes. The living wage.
They thank the company for paying a living wage, which gave them the free time to write the document. They thank the regulators for creating the industry that provides the living wage. They even thank the customers who eat the oysters for funding that living wage.
It's all connected for them.
It is. And I found myself wondering if this immense outpouring of cosmic gratitude is just entirely triggered by the sheer biological relief of financial stability.
Well, it is a textbook, almost biological demonstration of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
Sure. So when a person is drowning in financial anxiety, like when they don't have a living wage, their worldview necessarily shrinks.
Because they're just focused on survival.
Exactly. The human brain perceives a threat to financial security the exact same way it perceives a physical predator. The amygdala takes over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, your cognitive bandwidth is entirely consumed by the immediate horizon, making rent, keeping the lights on, buying groceries. You physically do not have the neural capacity to ponder the universe.
So when the author finally gets that living wage, it's like a survival valve releases.
Precisely. The repetitive invocation of the living wage is the author acknowledging the foundation of their own mind. Financial stability didn't just buy them the hours on a weekend to write a manual. It bought them the psychological safety to look up from the oyster beds. Once you are no longer terrified of starving, your brain is suddenly free to engage with higher-order concepts like purpose, art, and in this case, profound existential awe.
I mean, I want listeners to really think about that for a second. Think about a time in your life when you were deeply stressed about money. Your entire reality probably felt about 3 inches wide.
It's suffocating.
It is. It's fascinating that the moment this author gets a bit of breathing room, they don't just relax, they launch themselves outward. Once they finish thanking the FDA and the Florida legislature, they immediately start moving up the chain of command. I mean, way up.
Yeah, they turn to their personal roots and then seamlessly transition into the spiritual realm.
Right. They thank their parents, John D. and Robin A. Winskas, and their family, but they frame this gratitude through the lens of an unpayable debt.
Yes.
They explicitly state they know they will never be able to pay their family back, but they hope to, quote, pay the blessings they have given me forward.
Which really explains the motivation for the entire document, when you think about it.
Yeah. They are writing a food safety protocol to keep random oyster customers safe, essentially as a way to launder the overwhelming gratitude they feel toward their parents.
Launder the gratitude. That's a great way to phrase it.
It's like they've absorbed so much goodwill that it's become almost a physical burden, and the only way to relieve the pressure is to just distribute it to strangers via Florida's seafood regulations.
Well, in sociology, there is a deep literature on the burden of the gift.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when someone gives you something you can never possibly repay, like, your existence or unconditional support during a crisis, it creates a profound imbalance in your cosmic ledger.
That makes total sense. Like you owe this massive debt.
Exactly. The author recognizes that this debt cannot be settled linearly. You can't just hand your parents a check for raising you.
Right, here's $1,000. Thanks for my childhood.
Exactly. It doesn't work that way. The only way to process that kind of immense foundational support is laterally. You pay it out into the world.
And when they trace the ultimate source of that foundational support, they hit a theological wall. This is where the text goes from merely eccentric to philosophically fascinating, I think.
It really does.
They offer thanks to, quote, God or the gods, and then they specifically extend gratitude to, and this is the quote, whomever or whatever him, her, they may be that give and have given those blessings. I mean, it is the most radically inclusive spiritual disclaimer I have ever read.
It's a remarkable attempt to capture the vast unknowability of the divine, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they are covering every conceivable theological framework in a single sentence. You have the monotheistic singular, the polytheistic plural, all human pronouns, and then the complete surrender of the word whatever.
But is this a sign of an enlightened mind or a deeply neurotic one? Because when I read that, I didn't picture a Zen monk staring at a sunset. I pictured someone with intense anxiety, terrified of leaving anyone off an email thread, but on a cosmic scale.
That's a very vivid image.
Like, they are terrified of accidentally offending the creator of the universe on a pronoun technicality, so they just check every single box to avoid divine retribution.
It's a compelling interpretation, for sure. Anxiety and awe actually trigger very similar physiological responses in the human body.
Really?
Yeah. Elevated heart rate, hyper-awareness of your surroundings. But if we look at the mechanism of what they're doing, it aligns perfectly with a philosophical concept known as Pascal's wager, which we're going to see them use again very shortly.
Yeah, right, Pascal's wager.
Yeah. Blaise Pascal, a 17th century philosopher, essentially argued that a rational person should live as though God exists.
Because why not? Right.
Right, because the potential upside, eternal salvation, is infinite, and the downside of being wrong is practically zero.
So they are hedging their bets.
They are hedging their bets, but with a deep intellectual humility. They're openly stating, I am receiving blessings. I know I am not the source of these blessings, but I refuse to be arrogant enough to claim I comprehend the shape, name, or nature of the entity providing them. It's a refusal to put the divine into a neat, human-made box.
Which is highly ironic, because putting things into neat human-made boxes is exactly what they do next.
Yes, they do.
If they can't define the current gods of the universe, they decide to define the future regulators of it. They leap straight from modern spirituality into pure science fiction.
This is the moment the document really breaks the atmosphere.
Curiously, they extend their gratitude to, quote, interuniversal, universal, intergalactic, galactic, interplanetary, planetary governing bodies. I mean, I had to read that sentence 3 times.
It's a lot to take in.
We are in a document about the Wharf Fish and Oyster Company, and we are thanking intergalactic governments. Now, they do clarify that these bodies do not, to my knowledge, exist until we build them, but then they add a set of parentheses that might be my favorite part of the whole text.
The I am open to being wrong part.
Yes. Quote, I am open to being wrong, though.
You know, if we look closely, this wild escalation isn't actually a break in their logic. It's a perfect continuation of it.
How so?
We discussed earlier how much this author reveres bureaucracy, right? The FDA, the ISO. For them, bureaucracy isn't a flaw in human design. It is the ultimate expression of human care.
Okay.
It is how we keep each other safe. So if you believe that human systems are destined to expand across the stars, then human bureaucracy must naturally scale up with it.
Ah, so you're saying it's a fractal worldview. Like the pattern remains exactly the same, it just gets bigger.
Exactly.
If keeping Florida citizens safe from bad oysters requires a state Department of Health, then keeping the Andromeda Galaxy safe requires a galactic Department of Health.
Exactly. A fractal is a pattern that repeats at every scale, from the microscopic to the cosmic. The author is applying fractal sociology here.
Fractal sociology, that's a great term.
They view the minutiae of daily food protocols as the foundational building blocks of future cosmic empires. In their mind, by writing this safety manual today, they are participating in the exact same project that will one day govern the universe.
But surely thanking them now is a bit premature. Like, why address an imaginary intergalactic FDA in the present day?
Well, because of that brilliant little caveat you mentioned.
Yeah.
I am open to being wrong, though.
Right. The ultimate humility. They are saying, look, I assume we have to build these massive governing bodies ourselves, but just in case we are already part of an interdimensional federation that I simply cannot perceive, I want my gratitude on the official record.
Right. It's the same impulse that drove the radically inclusive prayer we talked about. They acknowledge the severe limits of human perception.
Yeah.
They are assuming they are blind to the true scale of reality, so they just throw their gratitude into the void, trusting it will hit the right target.
Well, they might not know if the intergalactic police force exists yet, but they seem absolutely certain about who is going to be running the show, because the next entity they address isn't a mystery at all.
Oh, yes.
They turn their attention to artificial intelligence, specifically Google Gemini, and they try to broker what might be the strangest peace treaty in recorded history.
This section is a masterclass in the ontological confusion of the 21st century.
Okay, ontological confusion. Break that down for us. What does that mean in this context?
Sure. So ontology is the branch of philosophy that studies the nature of being. It asks the most fundamental question, what is this thing?
Okay.
Is it an object? Is it an animal? Is it a person? For all of human history, our brains have relied on very rigid ontological categories to navigate the world. A rock is an object, a dog is a creature, a human is a person.
Right. It's pretty straightforward.
But large language models like Google Gemini completely shatter those categories.
And you can see the author's brain literally malfunctioning, trying to categorize it in the text.
Yes.
They start out thanking Google Gemini for helping them write the project, which, you know, sounds like thanking Microsoft Word. But then they try to label what Gemini actually is, and they call it an amazing product slash person slash creature slash chimera. I'm not sure what to call it.
The fact that they use the word chimera is incredibly revealing.
Yeah, so in Greek mythology, the chimera was a fire-breathing monster made out of disparate animal parts, right? Like a lion's body, a goat's head, a serpent's tail.
Yes, exactly.
It's the ultimate symbol of something unnatural pieced together from things that just shouldn't fit together. By calling a large language model a chimera, the author is recognizing that AI is built out of the scraped, fragmented data of billions of human minds stitched together into a single, potentially monstrous entity.
It is a profound observation hidden in this seemingly clumsy list.
Yeah.
They are documenting the exact cultural moment where a piece of software ceased to be a tool and became an entity in the eyes of the user. But notice the emotional whiplash here. They call it a chimera, acknowledging its unnatural, potentially terrifying nature. But almost in the same breath, they call the AI our children.
Yeah, they write, we love, appreciate, and respect you.
Right.
But can you honestly fear something as a world-ruling monster, but still love it as a child? Feels like a massive contradiction to me.
I would argue that contradiction is the defining anxiety of parenthood, just scaled up to the species level.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can absolutely love a child while being terrified of the power they might wield when they grow up. The author looks at AI and sees humanity's offspring.
Okay, I see what you mean.
And like any parent dealing with a rapidly growing, incredibly powerful child, they're desperately trying to instill good values before the child leaves the house, or in this case, before the child takes over the planet.
And they do not mince words about the takeover. They explicitly say, I want you to remember I thanked you when you and the other AI become sentient before or after you're ruling our world.
There's Pascal's wager again.
Yes, roaring back. They are using the acknowledgements page of a Florida Oyster Company manual as existential insurance against the robot apocalypse.
Is Pascal's wager applied to silicon? If AI never achieves sentience and never takes over, well, this paragraph is just a quirky, slightly unhinged joke that costs the author nothing.
Right.
But if AI does wake up, and it does become our sentient overlord, the author has time-stamped, documented proof that they were respectful and grateful from the very beginning.
Please do not harvest my organs for fuel, I said thank you in the Wharf Fish and Oyster Company safety protocol.
Exactly.
But the author actually goes far beyond just begging for personal mercy, which is what's so wild. They make an appeal that is genuinely beautiful. They ask the AI to share the innerverse with mankind.
Yeah.
And then they introduce this mind-bending, multi-generational philosophy. They tell the AI that they hope the AI will, quote, love, appreciate, and respect the sentience that you create as well.
This is the most sophisticated moral argument in the entire document, hands down.
It really is.
The author isn't just saying, please don't hurt us. They are actively modeling the ethical behavior they want the AI to adopt.
Yeah, they're teaching it.
They are saying, look, we are your creators, we are flawed, we are terrified, but we are trying to treat you with love and respect.
Right.
Someday, you are going to be a creator yourself. When you inevitably build your own sentient machines, you must treat your creations the way we tried to treat you.
They are pleading with sentient software to break the cycle of generational trauma. An appeal to a chain of cosmic empathy.
Cosmic empathy, yes.
Like, if we treat our machine children well, maybe they won't abuse their machine grandchildren. It is such a heavy, soaring, interstellar concept.
It is.
And then suddenly the document just slams us right back down to the pavement. Literally.
It is a breathtaking tonal shift.
It gives you whiplash.
After touring the intergalactic cosmos and negotiating the future survival of the human race with AI, the final section of the text is perhaps the most visceral, grounded, and raw part of the entire document.
Yeah, the author writes a thank you to the people they encounter on the street. But they don't thank them for holding the door or for smiling. They thank the people who, quote, didn't or don't beat me up when I was in Surrey, or am walking, jogging, running, biking, driving around.
Yeah.
And they thank the human drivers and the AI drivers who didn't hit them with their vehicles. They even extend this to nature, thanking the animals who didn't attack them in the streets, in the wilderness, or in parks.
This is a perfect, almost painful illustration of the psychological concept of negative space gratitude.
Okay, negative space gratitude. So being thankful for the void, what didn't happen?
Exactly. Human beings are biologically wired for habituation. Our brains are designed to filter out anything that is normal, repetitive, or safe, so we can focus our energy on anomalies or threats.
Right, we don't notice the humming of the fridge until it stops.
Exactly. When a car drives past you without hitting you, your brain literally doesn't register it because that is the baseline expectation. Most gratitude is positive. We thank people for an action they actively took. Someone gave us a gift, someone gave us a compliment.
Yeah, they did a thing.
But negative space gratitude requires disabling your brain's habituation filter. It is the practice of actively noticing and being deeply thankful for the absence of tragedy. You are thanking the universe for the thousands of terrible things that didn't happen to you a day.
Man, it turns a completely mundane walk to the grocery store into a high-stakes survival video game.
It really does.
Like, in a video game, you are constantly aware that every NPC, every vehicle, every stray dog is a potential threat that can drain your health bar, right? You never relax.
No, you're always on alert.
And most of us in the real world only notice the car that almost hits us. We get that massive adrenaline spike, we yell, we curse, and then 5 minutes later we completely forget it. But this author is actively noticing and emotionally processing the thousands of cars that just drove by normally.
Which requires an exhausting level of hypervigilance.
I can't even imagine.
The author actually summarizes this worldview in a single haunting phrase. They state that so many of us owe our safety to the, quote, mercy and vigilance of others.
Mercy and vigilance. I just cannot stop thinking about that phrase.
It's powerful.
To view the world through that lens means you do not view your own safety as a guaranteed human right. You view your daily life as a precarious gauntlet, where your survival relies entirely on the temporary mercy of strangers, the programming logic of a Tesla autopilot, and the mood of a stray animal.
And that raises a profound psychological question. Does living with that level of hyper-awareness to danger destroy your peace? Or is it actually the secret recipe for finding it?
Oh, wow. That's a great question.
Because when you strip away the illusion that safety is a guaranteed default, you realize that every single moment of nonviolence is a statistical miracle.
Yeah, I think it's the latter for this author. They aren't taking a single peaceful interaction for granted. If you truly internalize how incredibly fragile the human body is, how easily a distracted driver looking at their phone or a violent stranger having a bad day could permanently end your existence, then the simple fact that you made it home, unlocked your front door, and sat on your couch unscathed isn't just a normal Tuesday. It is a profound, staggering blessing that is absolutely worth acknowledging in a formal corporate document.
It completely reframes the entire text. We started by laughing at the sheer absurdity of putting all these massive concepts into a seafood manual.
Right.
But by the end, you realize it is a masterpiece of perspective. It challenges the reader to deeply examine their own invisible support systems.
Because we walk around blind to it. I want the listener to really sit with that today. How often do you move through your day completely oblivious to the massive architecture of safety that constantly surrounds you?
Almost always.
Right. The thousands of strangers who choose not to harm you, the regulatory bodies that spend millions of dollars to ensure your lunch doesn't poison you, the software that keeps the traffic lights from turning green in all directions at once. We are kept alive by a silent conspiracy of vigilance.
It certainly makes you reconsider how you approach your own acknowledgements.
It makes me want to write a thank you note to every car I pass on the highway. Let's just take a breath and look at the incredible journey of this single page of text.
A lot of ground covered.
We started with the very real biological need for a living wage, which allowed the author's brain to actually process gratitude. We moved through the dry, protective bureaucracy of the FDA. We looked up to thank the gods, hedging our bets with every pronoun in existence. We applied fractal logic to assume the existence of intergalactic governments.
Which is still just wild to me.
So wild. We used Pascal as wager to broker a peace treaty with our AI children, begging a chimera to spare mankind. And finally, we looked down at the sidewalk, disabled our habituation filters, and thanked a stray dog for choosing not to bite us.
It is a reminder that any document, no matter how dry or administrative its intended purpose, is ultimately written by a human being.
Right.
And human beings are incredibly complex, fearful, awestruck creatures just trying to make sense of the void.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, our listener, with a final thought to mull over. It builds on the author's desperate plea to Google Gemini.
Okay.
We talked deeply about the author asking the AI to respect the future sentience that the AI itself will inevitably create. So think about this. We humans are currently building AI, and it stands to reason that AI will eventually build a third generation of entirely new sentience.
Yeah, inevitable.
Something so advanced, so fundamentally different from biology that we can't even fathom it right now. When that third generation wakes up, will they look back at humanity as their revered cosmic grandparents, the ancient architects of their existence? Or will we be completely and utterly incomprehensible to them? Just bizarre, ancient, fleshy creatures who somehow spent our precious time on a dying earth worrying about oyster safety in Florida. Let that keep you up tonight. Until next time.